It is early evening when we finally reach Messina after a 6-hour drive from Johannesburg. Messina is a bustling town located on South Africa's northern border with Zimbabwe. I'm with my colleague, Godnos Nare. So this guy is actually working in government? We are here to meet a government official who's been working with us over the past 4 months to expose the conditions inside several Zimbabwean prisons. Running a bit late. For his own safety, the man we are meeting cannot be identified, and we call him Sydney. All interviews with him are dramatized.
You see that what there is, you see?
Okay, so I turn.
Yeah.
He's just one of several officials and former prisoners who assisted us in getting the visual evidence of the situation inside the prisons. Afterwards, in the privacy of our hotel, we interviewed him after watching disturbing visuals of dying prisoners.
It is a very, very horrific situation. I mean, it is bad. Believe me, it's bad. People are dying in there, you know, because of diseases and overcrowding make diseases even more faster.
Prisoner 15808 Brian Gumbo wakes up to another bleak day inside Beitbridge prison on the Zimbabwean side. He's only 26 years old, has severe malnutrition and suffers from TB. He's halfway through his 2-year sentence for housebreaking, and it seems unlikely that he will make it out alive unless he gets medical attention.
His cellmates are all sick, and it is likely that they were infecting each other. This is their daily routine. You know, they live like this every day. You know, eat the very same diet, no medication. This is a courtyard. You know, they go outside to get the sunshine, but you can see that they're sick. We tried to track down his family, and we found that he's originally from Berengwa, the south of Zimbabwe. But he has lived at this house in the township associated at Beitbridge. This woman says Brian's sister, who lived here with him, has left sometime last year.
Beitbridge prison has the capacity to house 500 inmates. Unlike in other prisons, overcrowding is not a problem here because many have died. At this meeting, they are given a chance to raise grievances. This man is concerned about his fellow inmate called Brighton. Brighton Mudadi is married and only 28 years old. He's serving an 18-month sentence for common robbery and is diagnosed with TB. It seems as if his family has abandoned him. Brighton and their cellmate are eating sadza, a thick porridge made from maize meal. Because they are sick, Brian and the other severely ill prisoners are fed twice a day. But it's only sadza, and there is no meat or vegetables to go with it.
You know, at times they get dry boiled maize called amagwadla. Each prisoner get a scoop of amagwadla maize a day. In the kitchen, an argument starts over a small portion of meat. For many prisoners, this is the only meal of the day, a scoop of plain sadza.
This 26-year-old man made it out just in time. He was an awaiting trial prisoner for car theft. He spent a year in jail and was released on free bail when his condition worsened. He says doctors told him that he suffers from pellagra, a disease caused by lack of vitamin B3.
We told you treatment.
Treatment when you told about treatment I'm going to bring a serious. So you will start a single so single so Peter. This guy is talking a man's ring Peter.
A report by the Zimbabwean Association for Crime Prevention and Rehabilitation of the Offender, ZACRO, says at least 20 prisoners are dying in the country's 55 prisons every day. Overcrowding has also helped worsen the situation, with 40,000 inmates squashed into facilities meant to house less than half that amount.
This distinguished CEO would say the best way to enjoy a brandy is whilst wearing diamond-encrusted lamb's wool socks, accompanied by
the smell of fresh money.
Woo! Really? Sock diamonds? Well, we'd say a brandy enjoyed with last night's pizza works just as well. Tops at Spa. Good brandy, good advice, no blingy socks.
When cell phones get cut off, people say Mdluli was listening. Who are you?
We have to approach Dennis Breitenbach, who was the prosecutor by then.
The DA parliamentarian?
That's correct. The one who was making halabaloo about me.
There are allegations here that you abused the slush fund. What do you say to that?
We don't have slush fund. I don't know about slush fund.
I respect the fact that you cannot talk a lot about the Secret Service and all that. I guess that's the norm internationally.
Yeah.
But how do we know that you, Richard Mdluli, are not abusing the funds of the state? You are counted amongst the president's men. Are you?
That is rubbish.
Also the matter of General Boysen in KZN. He's not speaking very well of you.
No, that one is talking rubbish.
You are perceived to be very powerful, General, and you know, people who don't agree with you seem to pay the price. What is happening with the Oparamhlube case?
No, I'm surprised because as I've said, I'm a person of people.
This is Kami Maximum Prison. It's the second largest prison in the country and is situated in the city of Bulawayo. Special assignments cameras went inside Kami to get an idea of the conditions there.
I met this guy, this old man. I thought he was old, only to find out at the later stage he's not old. He is not old to be 40 years. You can see the dark patches in his skin. You see, it's just symptoms of pellagra. You know, the disease is killing them inside there. He begged me to find his family, you know, and he gave me the address of his sister. I tried to find his sister, and without success, I didn't get anyone in the family. This is a prison hospital. There is no medication and no doctors to attend to the patients.
In a damning report released early this year on the funding of the Zimbabwe Prison Service, the Justice Ministry admitted it was battling to feed inmates and to provide medication. HIV-positive inmates also do not have access to life-saving drugs. Zakro found that because of the shortage of drugs, prisoners or their families have to buy their own medicine. But families can hardly afford this.
Families arrive for a visit. Most inmates never see their families because they live far away and cannot afford to travel. This couple is here to visit a sick uncle, but are denied entry because they do not have proper ID documents. In this footage, the uncle complains of itching and the lack of food. He is from Wange, near Vikfall, and was sentenced for stock theft. He is only scheduled for release in 2010. The food brought by the relatives is a lifeline for the lucky ones. But you know, it's also common for the warders to steal food from the prisoners. But although Brighton Mudadi's wife and family live in the same town, they never visit him. That means no moral support and no proper nutrition to help his body fight the infection. With the help of a fellow inmate, he washes himself and his soiled pants. He is very weak and he says that he is struggling to hold anything in his stomach.
Zimbabwean politician Roy Bennett was recently released from prison. We showed him some of our visuals and he spoke about his experiences in Mutare prison, where it took authorities a full day to remove a body from his cell.
People in there as well. And what happens with some of the people as well that have got so ill, they go around and they just pick up off the ground, and it's filthy. Any little bit of scrap of suds, they pick it up, put it in their mouth. It's incredible, I tell you. When I got into the prison and was put in the cell was overcrowded. There were 12 people in a cell that should hold 6. There was only 2 blankets each. All those blankets were lice-ridden. They hadn't been washed or seen any sort of hygiene for, I would say, years. And then the big shock came when I was let out of the cell in the morning. I was in the D class, which is dangerous prisoners. They brought all the other prisoners into the cage that held us. It was like being with people in a prison of war camp. People were they were thin. All you could see basically was their eyes, their ribs. You could see right through to their backbone. And then when I started speaking to people and witnessed firsthand, people were only getting 1 meal a day. And that meal was being supplied at lunchtime, and it was a piece of pup, sort of, which they would scoop with a plate about the size of the whole size of your hand, and then the only relish that they had was salt mixed with water. So that's what people were being fed on. There was absolutely no soap, There was no toothpaste or toothbrushes, and nothing in the morning and nothing in the evening. Basically, what is in those prisons today is a severe travesty of human rights and basically a human rights disaster.
Kerry Kay, a human rights activist and the wife of Ian Kay, also a member of parliament, spent 3 days in Harare police cells.
My husband having been in prison, we couldn't even sleep in the cells because there was so much human excreta pouring out of the pit that's called the loo and all over the cell floors. So it was disgusting, and it was all dark, and yeah, we were there for 3 days. We weren't given a blanket or anything. We just slept on the concrete floor. We tried to clean the one cell and clean the toilets, and as soon as that was clean, everybody else came and used that one, so we just gave up.
It's an overwhelming stench of unclean toilets, of excreta. That's there the whole time. There's no detergents to wash the toilets with. The toilets, some of them don't flush, so it's a case of pouring water into them. There's a total despair and a total loss of dignity amongst the prisoners that have been there for some time. They honestly believe they're not going to get out and that their fate is sealed because there's no one they can turn to, and there's absolutely no justice whatsoever that they're able to hope for.
This old man arrives at Kami prison to identify the body of a family member that has passed away. He received a letter informing him about the death of his grandson. The burial will now take place at the prison cemetery since the family has no money to bury him.
There's no transport, so they can't move the bodies. They can't take them into the mortuaries in the town because those mortuaries are full and they won't accept them. On 3 occasions, they managed to get the transport to take the body to the mortuary, only to see the body return because the mortuary wouldn't accept the body. So it sits in the laundry of the prison until they have to get a plastic body bag out and put it in there because it's burst. The smell, again, you can smell it right throughout the prison. The relatives, because of the economic situation, are too poor or don't have the means to be able to come and collect the bodies. So eventually, those bodies get a pauper's burial.
The bodies are piling up. And because of we can't find the families, then it becomes our responsibility to bury the bodies. For us to cool the room, because there is no mortuary, it's not cold. There are no refrigerators there. We just put sand and water, then we pile bodies there, so it becomes a bit cold. When the families come looking for their bodies, they just go inside that room and they have to take other bodies, they have to remove other bodies and look for their specific body.
In February, the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation was announcing the names of the prisoners who died every night and asking relatives to come and collect them. But with the economic situation at the moment, the relatives are miles away. They haven't got money or couldn't get money. And by the time they would get to the prison to pick up their relatives, they're just handed a burial order and what's left of the possessions of the prisoner. And the prisoner's already been buried at a graveyard called Mbudzi.
What happens in one grave, we pile 3 bodies in that grave.
Water-wise, water is an essential need. The scarcity of it could lead to loss of many lives, including livestock, plants, and much more. It requires us to use it sparingly and responsibly in times of need, failing which our taps and sanitation will not function. For more on water and weather issues, stay tuned to News Today, every Friday at 4:45 Central African Time. SABC News, making you water-wise.
From the moment you start your day. Good morning, everybody. It is 6 o'clock.
We are there for you.
You want a guarantee from the leadership that we should not be leaders who will steal? I'm prepared to give that guarantee that we should not steal from our people.
We bring your morning into perspective.
This is the reason they keep putting fees up. They're not getting enough money.
We'll make sure that you get the full story. The police officers from specifically Moffat View Police Station, they support these brothels. What have you found upon your investigations on this matter?
I cannot deny those allegations.
And you can count on the weather team with expertise.
Join us live at 6 a.m. daily.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Media Monitor. I'm your host, Alicia Jali. What has been happening on the digital front?
To win the CAF Championship was a huge thing, and perhaps we ought to have celebrated him even more.
Absolutely.
73% of our schools, regardless whether they're in the township or they're in urban areas, if you go to those schools, you are guaranteed a matric pass.
It is the one thing that we haven't done well as a country. We have thrown money at it. I mean, if you ask for figures, you will be told we're spending well in education.
90 billion.
But the performance of the system has not been good enough.
This woman's husband is serving a 9-year sentence for stealing meat. She says her husband is very sick and she is praying for him to be released. She has no food to take to him and is barely surviving selling firewood and dried vegetables.
Ngathi ngiyaba ngiswela kangila lutho so ngangihambile ngolesini ngisuke ngimthiye ngizondile wazi wathi kathi le sepa kangila ngathi angila sepa lamendlini ngiwacha ngamanzi.
Last week the crisis in prison was discussed in Parliament. This was Justice Minister Patrick Chinemasa's response. The economic hardships facing the entire nation are hitting hardest inside prisons, where we have no transport, no logistics, no uniforms, and diets are not being complied with. We've raised this issue with the Ministry of Finance and also partners like the International Community of the Red Cross to seek assistance. On a question of why they don't release inmates who are at death's door, he said, "I don't want to be held responsible for rapists released only to rape again." Irene Petraz of the Zimbabwean Lawyers for Human Rights says the situation is out of control.
The conditions are so terrible that the prison service itself can't cope with what is happening. And they've realized the extent of the emergency and they're reaching out to organizations for assistance. But at the same time, I think you need to have a ministry that is concerned with what the conditions are like in prisons and concerned with making a difference.
While government is appealing for aid, Western leaders are waiting to see evidence of true power sharing before offering assistance or easing sanctions. The Deputy Justice Minister, Jesse Mayome, says they acknowledge the problem and are appealing for short-term relief from donors.
The Zimbabwe Prison Service is in dire need of assistance, and the priority of the ministry has been and is the sourcing of help, of aid for resources for the immediate needs are nutrition and also sanitation and even issues like clothing.
The man in the wheelchair died a week after my visit. I took a week to go and look for his sister. When I went back in the prison a week later, I didn't find him. He was dead. And unfortunately, I didn't even find the body. A few days later, I revisited Beit Bridge Prison. Brian Gumbo's situation is getting worse. And Brighton Mudadi has also become very weak. His situation is very, very bad.
I think we really have got a long way to go. There's a lot of violations in terms of the international treaties and the regional treaties that we're party to, and even under our own constitution and our laws.
I think what the government has got to appreciate is that being in prison is not, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a death sentence. I think there are international standards, international minimum standards that have been put in place that govern the health and nutritional status of prisoners. And I think the government has got to abide by those international standards.
Despite the hardships, these inmates console themselves by singing hymns, hoping for change. But for men like Brian Gumbo and Brighton Mudadi, this may ultimately be too little, too late.
We are